The Galactic Council had seen many peculiar reports in their millennia of existence, but nothing quite prepared them for the diplomatic incident brewing on the third planet of the Sol system. Ambassador Zeftar of the Draconian Empire stood before the assembled representatives, his crystalline scales shimmering with barely contained fury. "They have stolen our prince," he declared, his voice echoing through the vast chamber. "The humans have committed an act of war by harboring Flameheart of the Mountain Peak, heir to the Crimson Throne." Council leader Vexara, a being of pure energy contained within a diplomatic construct, pulsed thoughtfully. "And what evidence do you present of this? Kidnapping?" The ambassador activated a holographic display. The council chamber fell silent as they watched security footage from Earth's surface. A human family, 2 adults and a small offspring, stood around what appeared to be a tiny iridescent creature no larger than a house cat. The creature was throwing what could only be described as a spectacular tantrum. "Wah!" the baby dragon wailed, tiny flames spurting from its nostrils as it rolled dramatically on the living room carpet. "No want vegetables, want cookies." The human female, identified as Dr. Sarah Chen, knelt beside the creature with infinite patience. "Sparky, you need to eat your synthesized minerals. They help you grow big and strong like your mama and papa." "No, no, no," Sparky shrieked, his little wings flapping uselessly as he launched himself at the sofa cushions. "Sparky want chocolate chips." The human male, Dr. Marcus Chen, exchanged a knowing look with his wife. "Remember when Tommy went through this phase?" Their actual human child, a boy of perhaps 8 years, rolled his eyes with the wisdom of someone who had clearly been there before. "Sparky's worse than I ever was, Dad. Yesterday he tried to melt his timeout corner." The footage continued, showing the dragon child's epic meltdown reaching new heights. He shot tiny puffs of flame at his reflection in the mirror, apparently angry at his own appearance. He knocked over a lamp with his tail, then immediately began crying harder because the noise frightened him. Finally, he attempted to bury himself under a pile of throw pillows while making the most pitiful whimpering sounds the galaxy had ever recorded. Ambassador Zeftar paused the recording. "As you can see, Prince Flameheart is clearly being held against his will. His distress is obvious." A new voice interrupted from the back of the chamber. "Actually, Your Excellence, I believe there may be more to this story." Dr. Elena Vasquez, Earth's diplomatic representative, stepped forward. She was a small woman by human standards, but she carried herself with the quiet confidence that had made humanity such an unexpected force in galactic politics. "Council, 3 months ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected a distress beacon from a damaged Draconian vessel. When our rescue teams arrived, they found the ship's life support failing and everyone aboard dead, except for one small passenger in an emergency pod." She activated her own holographic display. "This is the rescue footage." The scene showed human emergency responders in their distinctive red and white uniforms, moving through the wreckage of an elegant but devastated spacecraft. In a shielded chamber they found a tiny dragon, barely hatched, alone and crying in the dark. The rescue team's medic, Sarah Chen, immediately began emergency care. Dr. Vasquez continued. The infant was severely malnourished, dehydrated, and showing signs of trauma. Standard protocol was to contact Draconian authorities, but she gestured, and the display showed communication logs. Every attempt to reach the Draconian Empire was met with automated responses stating that the royal family was in sacred mourning and could not be disturbed for 60 standard rotations, while the chamber murmured with understanding. Many species had similar isolation periods following the death of royalty. Faced with a dying infant and no way to contact his people, the Chens made a choice that exemplifies everything the galaxy has learned to respect about humanity. They took him home. The next footage showed the early days of Sparky's recovery. Sarah Chen, despite being a xenobiologist, had no specific training in dragon care, but she researched, consulted with every expert she could find, and slowly nursed the baby back to health. Marcus, an engineer, built specialized equipment to accommodate Sparky's unique needs. Their son Tommy shared his toys and read stories to the little dragon. The tantrums, Dr. Vasquez explained with a slight smile, are actually a sign of successful recovery. According to our research into draconian child development, emotional outbursts indicate secure attachment and healthy psychological development. She showed more recent footage, Sparky playing happily with Tommy, the two of them building elaborate blanket forts. The dragon child helping Sarah in her garden, his tiny flames being used to start campfires for family gatherings. Marcus teaching him basic engineering principles with building blocks while Sparky listened with intense concentration. "Your Highness?" Sarah's voice came through the recording as she addressed Sparky during one of his calmer moments. "Your real family will come for you someday, but until then you're our family too." The baby dragon, exhausted from his earlier tantrum, curled up against her chest. "Mama Sarah," he mumbled sleepily. "Sparky love you." Ambassador Zeftar's scales had gradually shifted from fury red to a more subdued blue-green. "The prince, he is truly well?" "More than well," Dr. Vasquez replied. "He's thriving. But, Ambassador, there's something else you should know." The final footage showed a recent conversation between Sarah and Sparky. The dragon child sat in his high chair, messily eating what appeared to be a mixture of synthetic minerals and actual cookies, a compromise that had ended the great food war of last Tuesday. "Sparky," Sarah said gently, "we got a message today. Your real family wants to meet with us. They want to take you home." The little dragon's eyes widened, and for a moment, his lower lip trembled. Then, with the dramatic flair that had become his trademark, he flung his tiny arms wide and declared, "But Sparky is home. This is Sparky's family." He paused, considering this with the seriousness only a toddler could muster. "But maybe Sparky's first family can come for dinner. Mama Sarah makes really good cookies." The chamber fell silent. Finally, Ambassador Zeftar spoke, his voice thick with emotion. "The Empire. We assumed the worst when we found the wreckage. We thought our prince was lost forever." "He was never lost," Dr. Vasquez said quietly. "He was just found by the right people." Council leader Vexara pulsed with what those familiar with her species recognized as amusement. "It appears, Ambassador, that your prince has indeed been kidnapped, by love, attention, and an apparently unlimited supply of cookies." As if summoned by their words, the chamber's communication system activated. On the screen appeared Sparky himself, sitting on Tommy's lap while the human boy helped him operate the video call. "Hi, dragon people," Sparky announced cheerfully, waving a tiny claw at the assembled council. "Sparky learned to use human talking box. Want to see Sparky's room? Tommy helped make it really cool." Ambassador Zeftar stared at the screen, watching his prince, healthy, happy, and completely at ease with his human family. The baby dragon launched into an excited description of his latest adventures, which apparently involved teaching the family cat to tolerate small amounts of flame and successfully growing his first flower in Mama Sarah's garden. "Your Excellence," Dr. Vasquez said softly, "we've always known this day would come, but perhaps there's a solution that works for everyone?" The ambassador looked at his prince, chattering happily about cookie recipes and bedtime stories, surrounded by humans who clearly adored him. For the first time in months, Zeftar allowed himself to smile. "Perhaps," he said, "it is time for the Draconian Empire to learn about something humans call joint custody." On the screen, Sparky suddenly perked up. "Ooh, are we having a playdate?" Sparky loves playdates. And with that, the greatest diplomatic crisis of the century dissolved into giggles, as a baby dragon demonstrated that sometimes the most powerful force in the galaxy isn't technology or warfare. It's a tantrum thrown, with just the right amount of adorable determination. The humans once again had found a way to turn a potential disaster into a family reunion.